Hey everybody, welcome to Teamfight Talkshow. I am DoA, with me is Frodan as always, and today we have a very special guest fresh off his top 4 finish at the C9 Fates NA qualifier. It is Robinsongz. How you doing tonight, Robinsongz?
Good. How are you? How are you guys?
I'm good. I'm good too. Frodan, how are you?
I'm good. You know, I'm really looking forward to the next patch in TFT, just because there's a lot of big changes, and we're going to talk about it. I'm also really excited because they're announcing their esports news, and you know, like in the past, it was a little bit hard to even see announcements being made for upcoming TFT tournaments. So the fact that we're announcing it ahead of time is a really good sign that you know, a lot of those plans are in motion, and I'm really excited to see like how Fates is going to wrap up the next month or two.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to be hyped about. Robinsongz, let's get to know you a little bit first. I think you're fairly well-known face around the TFT scene, obviously. But for those who maybe aren't as familiar with you, what's your background? What got you into League, TFT? Like, how did you get to where you are?
So my name is Robin. I am 28 years old, not 43, like my chat says all the time.
What?
I played League. I played Summoner's Rift. I was a Riven one trick. I peaked at like Diamond 1, never got to Masters. I just played it like pretty like, casually. And then I got introduced to TFT by, a couple of my friends are like, oh, check out this new like auto chess mode. Like I didn't play like Dota auto chess, so I had no idea what auto chess was. And then I just tried it out and I was like, oh, it's actually pretty fun. And then, watched like Scara's videos, and I watched Soju when he was just starting out. And then, started getting better. And then I think set 1, I was like ranked like 100 or something. I don't know. Like, and then I don't think anyone knew me. They just knew me as like a challenger player. Set 2, same thing. And then set 3, I think is when I popped off, when I got rank 1 playing abusing mech. And then
mastering mech.
And then once I reached rank 1, I started streaming, and then like Scara hosted me, and then my stream started to grow. And then, but during that time, I still had a full-time job, so I was like just streaming after my work. And then in December, I started, things were picking up, and I feel like my full-time job was like holding me back significantly with like competitive play and also streaming. So I decided to quit my full-time job and pursue streaming full-time, and it's been like 2 months, and it's been great so far.
Awesome, congrats. That's quite the leap of faith to take, even if you do have a following built up. So congrats on that. That's a big step.
That's right.
I was going to ask about your guitar in the background, but then I realized it was a table with a remote control on it. But it looks like the bottom of the guitar with the bridge.
It's not a guitar. It's a table with it's a GameCube controllers.
I got you baited. But anyway, sorry, Frodan, what were you saying?
I was just gonna kind of talk a little bit about, what were some of like the motivation, like talk a little bit more about that big decision. I know when we were chatting in the tournaments that you competed on, especially when you won that qualifier that I was casting, you talked a little bit about it, but there's different audiences across these different platforms. So talk a little bit about like what pushed you to make that decision. What kind of job were you like working at? And because I think a lot of people want to do what you do, right? People are like, oh, I love a game like Teamfight Tactics. It's so great. I wish I could go full time. Like, what are some of the conditions that you felt like set you up for this?
Okay, the main condition is if you have a great job, don't like quit. Cause like, okay, so my job, it was like it wasn't a great job. All right, well, it wasn't a great job. It was like, it didn't have a lot of like growth potential, and it was like a job that you don't need a degree for, so anyone can like, and you're easily replaceable. And I was making decent money on Twitch already, not more than what I was making at the old job, of course, but it was enough to like survive, or like live. And so obviously, like I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try this for a year and see what happens. If it doesn't work out, I can just go find another job. Like I'm not really like losing much. So I think that was a condition. Also, like I felt like it was holding me back a lot. So that was another condition. But I think the most important thing is that if your job is like, it's not that great and it's not gonna go anywhere, then that could be a like, you can make a decision because of that. But that's mainly like if you have a coding degree and you're doing coding and you're like pretty like happy and you're making decent money, like I don't see a reason to drop all of that to go into streaming.
Yeah, so you were capped.
Yes,
and you decided to open your chosen. Your board was capped, you opened chosen, and Robin's like, I only have like 30 gold, I'm gonna roll down.
Yes, I sold my Garen chosen and then I hit a KO chosen.
Hell yeah, that's
solid.
What we're looking for. All right, back over to you, DoA. Sorry.
All right, now we just got to get the items, but let's move on. Let's talk about the set 4.5 meta. Oh boy, let's take a look at the patch notes that came in with 11.3. We've been on this one for a couple weeks now. As you recall, there were actually buffs to Dragon Soul and Slayer. We don't really see those stretch synergies used that often, I feel like. I know you had like a 9 Dragon Soul game the other day, Frodan, but I feel like we don't see a lot of 6 Slayer, 6 Dragon Soul games just yet. We don't see the Dunk Master yet. We see a little bit of Tristana, I guess. Cloak is still good. Spirit nerf, I feel like it didn't really have a big impact on running Force Spirit and a lot of things. But Robin, obviously right now, everybody's talking about the reroll comps. 1-cost rerolls are very, very strong. We saw that in the tournament a couple weekends ago. But without getting 2 Avengers Endgame, what's your take on the meta right now?
So I don't think the game is in a good state right now, but it's not as bad as people are saying it to be. Like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is unplayable." Like it's brain dead, or like you need specific items or else you can't play the game. It's obviously not true. There are certain players that are excelling, and that's because they're adapting and they're changing their playstyle. Players like DQA, he's rank 1 global right now. He's finding out how to play the game, obviously. Noob Owl, always on top. Another player, Ramblin, my dual partner, he is popping off, playing random stuff. Like, he's playing Darius carry. He's still going Fast 9 when everyone says Fast 9 is bad. And he's like rank 3 right now. And then he's playing like, people are saying Brand Chosen is useless. He's gone Brand reroll and gone first like 2 times in a row. So like, I think it's not in a good spot because of like maybe the reroll comps are too strong a little bit, and paired with Chosen and a loaded dice. But I mean, it's gonna get fixed. So
yeah. There's a lot to really unpack, you know, from some of the stuff that Robin's talking about. And for people who are kind of like dipping in and out of TFT and just kind of like hearing some of these musings, like there's a twit longer kind of featured on our screen right now about the 3 main problems that Soju currently has, which is the chosen mechanic, the item situation, the lack of flexibility with it, and lucky lanterns and how impactful, like loaded dice, where you get a shop of 1 cost units of what you're looking for to reroll. So say like you're rerolling for a Nidalee, right? And you're able to get it, and you get Nidalee 3 even before the Krugs happen. It's just such a big power spike. And there's like a lot of discussion that's kind of led to a lot of frustration because not only did Riot didn't really address it in any kind of patch going into this week, but they decided to buff the more 1 cost units like Tristana and Brand, which was definitely like a really interesting moment there, I think, for the community. So this has kind of led to us kind of wondering what's going to happen in the future, DoA. And Riot instead is going to be putting out a huge 11.4 patch, I believe, coming up, that they've been testing a ton of changes going into it. Because I think a lot of people are just not really happy with how many games are decided by stage 2, where it feels like you have to dedicate yourself to a reroll, or you have to just kind of full open fort and hope that you get the perfect items and the perfect champions.
Yeah, I think it definitely does kind of feel that way sometimes. I always hesitate to say things like have to, because it's all about risk, right? You can choose to take a big risk and not go with that, Brawler Chosen Maokai and just play Brawlers. But I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, where it does feel like the game is fairly dictated early on right now by the early Chosen because the 1 costs are so strong. And it's a combination of things, right? Any one of these things in a vacuum aren't too strong. Like the 1 costs are not too strong. The Chosen mechanic is not too strong. The Lucky Lantern is not necessarily too strong. But you put all of that together and you definitely get into situations where 1 cost rerolls get very, very strong across the board. And so some sort of change with that, I think, may be in order. It is interesting because I like to play a very flexible, aggressive leveling, best board kind of style. And the other thing that Soju talks about in this twit longer is the items, where you really do need to have the right items for the right carries. And so by playing that best board fast 8 style, you open yourself up to a lot of risk in that you either A, can't slam very specific items because you're trying to play best board, or B, you have those specific items but then just simply don't hit the champions that can use them well enough. So a little bit more flexibility in items, I think, going forward is good. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I feel like I don't have a lot of answers for any of this. I feel like the TFT balance team is working their asses off trying to make this a great balanced game, and it's just a really, really hard game to balance. And so there's just going to be patches like this sometimes. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm kind of at a loss talking about this one. I feel overwhelmed by the meta right now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Robin, like, if you could give like 2 one-line pieces of advice for people who are trying to like, hey, I want to hit like masters, or I want to like push beyond my current rank that I'm like plateaued at. Like, what's like 2 pieces of advice that you would give them right now?
Don't be afraid to roll and reposition every turn. People think like, I tell people like, oh, how do I improve? I'm like, yo, sweat and reposition every turn. They're like, that's so sweaty. I'm like, okay, if you're not gonna sweat, you're not gonna improve. Like, if you see streamers like Salvi, he literally moves his board every single turn. And if you want to be right side, you want to be right side, you go left in the beginning and you go right last second. even starting from 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, it's one. It might win a round because they are scouting for you and you switch sides, and in that one round could continue your streak. That's a placement right there, you know, stuff like that. And also, don't be afraid to roll. A lot of people are super greedy with their gold, like, you know, the NA playstyle. Watch some Bebe, watch some Korean players. They don't really care about econ. They just like roll down to stabilize their board. I think a lot of NA players are like too greedy with their gold. They're like, oh, if I roll to 0 here, I lose, you know. But you're gonna lose anyways if you didn't stabilize. So, so yeah, those are my 2 pieces of advice.
For sure. I think like it's particularly pronounced in this kind of meta because other people who have rolled their gold have their 3-star chosens, right? Like a 3-star Nidalee, a 3-star Fiora, and Yasuo, whatever they're rerolling. And you're rolling gold, you get your 2-star version of it, and you still lose anyways after you've greeted all your gold because those 1 costs are so powerful, right? Like how many times have you gotten like a KO2? You're like, I'm really stable. You didn't reposition, like Robin said. Nidalee's first spear just destroys KO because somehow perfectly weaves through your front
Not even
line
KO2, KO3 as well.
And then all of a sudden you lose our entire DPS, right? That happens like at least twice a game that I like watch with my opponent's board and I watch that happen.
I feel like I've seen this clip recently where like a Nidalee one-shot a very important unit on somebody's board.
I agree.
I think we've got that line. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's me. I remember this.
Oh,
yeah.
No, my style, right?
Oh yeah, but
that's me against
what a coincidence. Oh,
sick 3-star Zaya, man.
Just weaved it right. It was like that. Nidalee was like Luke Skywalker in the Death Star trench, man. Like that spear was the photon torpedoes. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best positioning, but like, come on, my unit is worth 36 gold. Like, come on.
Yeah,
and like
and
it wasn't even the worst.
I don't know what she was targeting, right? Like I watched that clip like 3 times. I still don't know what she was trying to target immediately when I first saw it until you slow it down, and then there's a lot of weird stuff like that in TFT that you sometimes.
Sniper, what can you say?
Yeah,
it's so one thing I started doing actually today that helped my games a lot because I felt really helpless in the meta because of my style and like I wasn't rolling down early enough. I knew that, but I was kind of resistant to changing my style. So I started a document where I started tracking my gold and my HP at the beginning of every round. And I noticed that I was losing enormous amounts of HP in stage 3 specifically. And so right away after a couple of games, I was like, oh, I just need to be much more aggressive about rolling down in stage 3, which is that 3-2 roll down that a lot of people talk about. I started doing that, got a second, got a first. Like, so if you're struggling out there too, one of the things you can do is start really paying attention to your own games and tracking your position round to round. And kind of getting data from yourself, right? Don't just like look at all the statistical data that people are sharing on Reddit. Like find out what your own data says, and that will tell you more about what you need to improve your game as well, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's talk a little bit. Oh, interesting.
This is our topic now.
This is our topic.
Do you want to have chosen set 5? Okay, Robinsongz, what do you think?
Like Chosen's cool, but I don't think we should have for set 5 because like every set has their own thing, right? So like set 3 was galaxies, set 4 is Chosen, so set 5 should have something of its own. But yeah, I would rather not have Chosen in set 5. Personal opinion.
I agree. Part of what made Chosen really exciting was because we even had a frame of reference in set 2. Lux was the 7-cost unit that would double up on a certain trait that you would want to play. And that was a really cool feeling. And so I think what Riot and particularly Giovanni from that team who we had on the show, it's a great episode. You should go back and check it out. He was specifically talking about like these really big epic moments that felt really cool behind that. And I think that like it's part of the problem is that Chosen, and I think Riot knows this as well. They talked about it multiple times, but they like kind of oriented Chosen to have a certain number of times where it felt really good. And afterwards, it didn't really feel as fresh anymore. And so, like, I think the number was like about 100, 150 games. After you get that kind of exposure, Chosen becomes one of these things where like all you're doing is having comparisons to your opponents. Oh, they hit the Chosens and I didn't hit anything, or I still don't have a Chosen despite having 3 or 4 rounds into stage 2. And these kinds of dynamics, I think that tends to leave people into to have some negative experiences and biases.
Yeah, I honestly I love the Chosen mechanic. I think it was great in set 4, And like I said, in set 4.5, I just think it's a combination of things that includes the chosen mechanic that makes it not feel as good because of the rerolls again. But just on the surface, early on in set 4, I felt like it was causing me to play a lot more flexibly. I was a big like composition forcer in like set 2, set 3, and I finally feel like I broke that habit in set 4, and I'm going to be able to carry that into like future sets, which feels really good. I feel like I've grown as a player because of the chosen mechanic, which I think is probably the best part with it. But I think more than anything, like I think we probably shouldn't have it for set 5 just because it is like the main gimmick of set 4, right? So I think it's just good to move on. But I don't want to see it go because I don't like it, because I really do like it. But I think it's good to move on for set 5 anyway.
I think chosen is good for casual play, or for competitive play, it's way too much variance. It's way too like high roll. Someone can hit a perfect chosen, they just get top 4. So it's like, even if they didn't play well. So
I can see that. Yeah, there is that.
Yeah. It's kind of it's tricky, right? Because in games like TFT, you really kind of need those big spectacular moments. I think one of the biggest requests that Mort gets from like high-end competitive players is remove the fact that you can get 5 costs at level 7. So you can't get like a set, you can't get an Ornn, you can't get Samira, all these like legendaries. Let's say you're looking for it as to finish your comp, because it has like a 1% chance at 7. And Mort's like every week, I feel like I tune into his stream where he's jamming PBE games. And at least like once or twice per stream, he keeps saying we are never going to change that, because it's a really big defining moment that a lot of players really can gravitate towards, especially if you're not playing like the hundreds of games in order to really get those kinds of experiences, right? There's I would say that 99%, this is just a random number, but 99% of players have never even gotten a 3-cost legendary in their entire lifetime of playing TFT. They want to have those kinds of moments every now and then where it's like crazy powerful high roll. The problem is when Robin brings it up, is that it happens too early in the game, and it feels like it's a non-game for everybody else, right? Like,
sure,
okay, well, 2 people high rolled, so now there's only like 2 spots in top 4 that I can play for at the moment, and that feels really bad.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's another part of that too is that in set 4, the 5 costs feel much more like set 2 5 costs, if that makes sense, where a lot of them are able to be included into compositions that don't necessarily share the synergies. You know, you hit an early Ornn, you just play Ornn, grab an item from him. You know, you hit an early set, like set's probably going to be good for your board no matter what you're playing as you're completing your board, right? Azir kind of falls into that as well. Samira, obviously really good. So hitting those early, it feels like going back to like the old, oh man, Singed days, like way back when, right? Where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to put Singed on my board. He's just going to make me stronger, right? So I don't mind that. Maybe I've been thinking about that now that you mentioned that. Maybe I wouldn't mind the 5 costs coming in a little bit later, but it is a fun moment in the game to have that. But you know, let's move on from there and take a look at some of the I believe some of the changes that are coming up theoretically. Let's see.
What?
So this is the PBE for 11.4. So the biggest change I believe I'm reading right, and I played a couple games on PBE, is that if you don't have a chosen, every natural roll, so round to round you'll be offered a chosen. If you re-roll beyond that, I believe it still goes by the same odds you have now. Don't quote me on that. I'm 99% sure that's what I read a couple days ago when I was reading these notes. But the big thing is like I just said, if you don't have a chosen, you're going to see one every round. I am concerned a little bit by that, because I feel like that might make it even easier to find that defining reroll chosen early on. Then again, it could make it more contested, so it could make it harder to play those comps. What do you think, Robin, about that? The chosen every round.
I actually kind of like it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like natural, right? Only natural.
Only natural.
It feels bad a lot of times when you're like, when you're greeting the chosen and then you just don't get a chosen until like the end of the stage when it doesn't even matter anymore, and then like not that much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know these, like I'm really bad like at theory crafting and stuff. So all these like you know, but it sounds okay to me, but it might make like, it depends also on the chosen odds for every level, and like maybe it'll make you easier to hard force a comp. But in terms of like lessening players' frustrations, it's probably better.
Yeah, I think it kind of smooths out the variance that Robin talked about. and kind of it actually gives you more meaningful agency now, right? Because before it feels like sometimes you can't pass your chosen, or if you do, you have to like completely open for it. But now you actually have an opportunity to say like, okay, next turn I'm gonna pre-level here so I can like continue to improve my natural rolls, right? So like
Right.
all of a sudden you kind of give agency back to the player, despite the power level rising across the board. There might be like 3 players dead by wolves now. Who knows? But like the idea is you give players choices, right? And that's I
Yeah.
think what Riot's going for, which I appreciate. And hey, it's we only have a couple more months of set 4 anyways, or set 4.5. Might as well try something a little bit bold, kind of like what they did at the very end of Galaxies, where they had the Big Bang Galaxy, and it's just like everybody gets everything.
Right.
That was pretty fun to play for a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that's what it comes down to is having fun with the game. And we on this show we talk to a lot of the highest level players in the scene, and all of our viewers are generally pretty experienced players as well. But you do have to keep in mind that the vast majority of TFT players and the vast majority of players of any game are very casual. They're not into esports. They're just playing the game to have fun. And ultimately, that is the demographic that needs to be taken care of above all others when you're developing a game. And so a lot of times when you're looking at being a pro in esports, that kind of ends up being something you just sort of have to accept. And you have to ask yourself, do I love this game enough to do my best to excel at it, even though there are going to be changes from time to time that don't necessarily target my specific view of how the game should be at the highest level, because that's just not how games are designed. And whether you like it or not, tough. That's the reality of game design, right? So I think ultimately at the end of the day, like I think set 4 has been really fun. I think a lot of people who are not in the esports scene have been enjoying it, and it's been a pretty successful set. But that said, I do look forward to when the 1 cost reroll comps are going away. It's like ultimate Candyland out there. Save me.
Yeah.
Little by
But
little.
yeah, little by little. All right. Well, are there any other 11.4 changes to talk about if we scroll down there? That was a little bit of a TED talk, but
I think there was like a brawler change.
There's some tweaks.
Yeah,
I want
there
them
we
to
go.
make legendaries better again.
Yes.
Like it just feels really bad that there's only very specific legendaries that you hit only if you're playing a specific comp, right? Like set's not really playable outside of brawlers for most comps. Like maybe you can
Really?
every now and then splash them in. But
You
like
don't think
that's
so?
where he's mainly functioning. Same thing with like Yone. You never really play Yone unless you're really trying to all in on like the adept front line. So it's like these kinds of dynamics, I really wish the legendaries were more impactful.
Yeah,
But at
like
the same time,
Samira.
I don't really want to buff like champions like Ornn either, because that just makes the 4/4 carousel even more polarizing. So,
Yep.
well, give and take. Just make legendaries just in general pretty good.
Ooh, this is good.
I'm surprised to hear you say that because we'll look at the Yone change in a second, because I feel the opposite way. I feel like you can flex more legendaries into more comps now than you could in set 3. Be the tiebreaker, Robin.
Legendaries have in set 3. I forgot.
Yeah,
we
I have to,
had
like, look it up real quick just to see
well
that
the fact that you can't remember should say right away that they weren't very significant 5 costs. Isn't that true?
I feel like
Gangplank, Misfortune,
Lulu.
the ones that
I feel like you can't like Samira. You can't slam unless you have like a sharpshooter or
Crush
slayer
there, yeah.
board. Yone, you don't really play unless you have like adept, or maybe Yone you can play if you just want to cut their defenses and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Set I think you can play in like every comp. It doesn't really need brawlers, but there and then like Ornn. I feel like Ornn is kind of awkward unless if you can't really. I mean, I think you play Ornn if you're ahead.
Mhm.
What other legendaries are there? Zillion and who else? Swain. Swain is kind of awkward if you don't have like Siphoner, especially.
Yeah.
Well, either way, my thesis is that we should continue to make legendaries a little bit more impactful, but that's a different topic, and I think we should definitely at least get through some of the other things before we get
That's
to
a whole different conversation. We didn't budget time for. So let's move on to a segment called Agree. And now our first question for Agree is, can anyone make TFT a full-time career? This is a great one to go to you first, Robin, with, because you legitimately did make the move just recently to make TFT a full-time career. So what do you think?
Full-time carer.
Disagree.
Disagree?
I don't think
on what grounds?
I don't think anyone can make TFT a full-time career. You have to be like good at the game, no?
Yeah.
Like I think the main thing is you have to be good at the game. Like even if your personality is like super like addictive and like everyone loves you, it's hard to get your name out there if you're not good. So I disagree.
Frodan?
I mean, I hear what Robin's saying. I would like to think that there's multiple ways to get involved, right? Like, there's people who work at Wisdom, bless their heart. They support North American TFT like almost single-handedly as a pillar of the community. Not all of them are like GM challenger players.
Oh, I was thinking of stream like, oh yeah, there's other jobs.
Yeah. And even there's a lot of streamers who are for fun streamers, but they got great personalities. But you know what they're good at? They're good at making connections to their viewers. They're good at putting out good polished broadcast presentations, these kinds of stuff. So anyone can. I like to just be optimistic and say yes, but obviously, are you going to be a Robinsongz or like at the very highest point, like Soju, who's probably like the most successful competitive player in TFT? Probably not, but there's multiple paths to success, just like in TFT.
All right. Well, I read the sentence and I look at the word anyone and I take it at face value and say, did anyone in the 7 billion people on Earth make TFT a full-time career? And probably not, because I have to disagree with this, because I think it does take if you're gonna make it, it's probably going to be on the streaming side, and it does take, I think, a very specific type of personality to make it as a streamer and do that long term. On the pro side and even on the casting side, like I don't think there's anybody out there who's full-time casting TFT. There just aren't enough events, and it's not a big enough game yet to finance that, right? So I think on that side, you're not really going to find it yet. As far as working on the production side, we do have awesome people, GiantSlayer and Wisdom, that do a ton of work to bring this stuff to us, but they also work on other things too. They're not doing it full time yet. I wish they could. I wish we could all do TFT full time, and maybe we can in the future. But right now, I think to just say I'm going to make TFT a full-time career is a risky proposition right now. A year from now, that might not be the case, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that you can do that in the future. But I think right now it's still a pretty big risk if you go for it, unless you're like a streaming pro like Robin, who is nothing to worry about. There you go. Let's move on to question number 2. It is powerful reroll comps existing is healthy for the meta. All right, another divisive one. We'll go to you first, Frodan, on this one.
I agree with this. I think that a lot of people give reroll comps a bad rap because, like, you just turn off your brain and you reroll and try to just like push levels after you're done, and they feel like it's been solved. But I think you need to have like reliable, solid strategies that aren't just complex summoner assassins from set 2. People usually point to that comp as being like the ultimate achievement and nirvana of like what a good player at TFT can eventually become. If you're good at something, you're good at the game. But like at the same time, you also need to have an entry point where somebody can wrap their brain around good strategies and be effective and have that payoff. Very similar to like aggressive decks in like a card game, right? You look at like Magic or Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra. You need to have basic aggro decks that can burn and go face. So I think it is good for the metagame. Not to mention that it also keeps greed in check. Like you don't want things to just be the ultimate snooze fest where people just save gold. So I think I would agree with this. I think that it's important for it to exist.
Okay. Robinsongz, what do you think?
I definitely agree that reroll comps existing is healthy for the meta. Because, what Frodan said, people say like, oh, it's brain dead. Reroll comps are brain dead. But it's not brain dead, but it's just another way to play the game. There is skill involved to be good at a reroll comp. Like you need to be able to like successfully open fort stage 2 if you're really poor or if you're really weak. So you have gold to roll at stage 3 for your reroll to 3-star. Like when to hyper roll, when to slow roll. Like when you get the 3-star, like when to level, when to roll. Even sometimes you can't just like fast 8 once you hit your 3-star. You sometimes need to roll at 7 to 2-star your board. What like if you don't have 3-star yet, when to all in. And then it's just a different way to play the game, and it's a different set of skills. So I think it's healthy for the meta if you can master how to play reroll comps and how to play like traditional, strongest board comps. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with this one too. I think it's not only healthy, but it's vital for there to be strong reroll comps in the meta, because the more variety of play styles we have in the game, the better it is. The more, because then you can play reroll, you can play fast 8, you can play all this kind of different things. Right now, obviously, we're in a situation where the reroll comps, especially the one costs, are perhaps a little bit too strong and too prevalent, but that doesn't mean reroll comps are bad. That just means that's the state of the game right now. I think, in general, reroll comps are a healthy thing for the game to have. I say this as a Star Guardians one trick in set 3, but it's still true. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next question. Our last one for agree is, top players complain too much about variance. All right, well, Robin, we're not calling you out or anything with this one, but would you like to call someone else out? The floor is yours.
I think. Okay, okay. I think. Agree. Top players complain way.
All right.
They complain way too much. Like, just complain like a little bit, and then just Warthog's gonna fix it. Don't worry. Like, I think it's like it's I don't blame them, like, or like me too. If I get a bad game, I don't blame myself. I got bad luck. Like, too much variance. This guy hit a chosen KO, and I didn't hit a chosen. This game sucks. But like, next game I hit a chosen KO, I don't say anything. Like, so I think we do complain a little bit too much, but a lot of it is for content. And just like, I think maybe we can complain like a little bit less, because it does, like, we do have viewers, and it does, like, if we complain, the viewers are going to complain, and then just everyone's complaining, and it's just like, in the end, it's like, we love this game, so we need to say some more positive things about TFT.
Right.
Yes.
Frodan?
Kind of can't really add too much more to Robin. So I do agree. I think that it's not that you shouldn't complain. I think it's like there's constructive and, like, productive ways to be, like, lobbying your complaints versus not. Like, I actually believe that Soju's, like, Twitlonger is not like an example that you would use to be like, oh, they're just complaining too much about variance. I think he's, like, pretty much identifying, like, issues that he takes with it. He's talking about, and he's, like, going into detail about it. And he even explains it a lot on his stream. And then, like, obviously people will clip, like, certain highlights from his stream where he's just like, oh, this game is so bad. And then, like, maybe, like, send it to some Riot devs or, like, on Twitter or social media. And I think that's when it's taken, like, a little bit too extreme. But I think overall, like, what we aren't really good at as a community right now is, like, a healthy outlet for our frustrations. And I think that unfortunately, it's kind of led to some really bad environments, right? Like, Mort, for example, has infamously left Lobby 2 Discord, and he doesn't want to come back. And I think it's largely because just the way the communication paths have been established. And that's a big shame, because I think what made TFT special as a community was the fact that the devs were very much integrated within the top players and hearing their voices, like, on a daily basis. You would see Mort and Static and Whitrock and all these other great devs just, like, talking for hours to each other about the game, about what they think should be done. And the less that happens, I think the worse the game gets. So I want to see an opportunity for that, for these two groups to come together again, and Mort to once more believe that he can listen to, all the players who usually complain to him.
I mean, in my decade of esports, every single game, and I'll agree with this one, of course, but I've seen in every single game, there's always going to be pros complaining about things in non-constructive ways. And, these are people who it's their livelihood to win this game, right? And so they're going to feel a level of passion and emotional reaction to losing and the state of the game at a much higher level than other people will. So for players that don't know how to convey those emotions in a constructive way, you're going to get the complainers, and it's just going to be like that with every game. And it has been awesome that TFT, we've had this great interaction with the developers that we usually don't get in a lot of games. But I think at the end of the day, I hope people are more chill and more constructive. And I do actually really like Soju's Twitlonger in terms of, I think it lays out all the things he's upset with the game in a way that's not complaining. I think it's all very laid out, and here's what I think, here's why. not so much emotion attached to it. I think that was great, actually. I really enjoyed reading it. But what I've seen in every game that's happened so far is that the devs kind of retreat from the community a little bit. They kind of create their own little like circle of pros that they know can communicate well, and community members that they can trust, and it kind of proceeds from there. So as much as I would love to see the developers like be super involved with the scene, I do think it's really hard to do that and keep your mental health at a good level. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case kind of going forward, is that we're going to see the devs stick close to like pro players that can communicate well and just kind of ignore everybody else, because ultimately that's what's going to be the most effective for them at staying sane and also getting the best feedback. So it's kind of sad to say that, but it just kind of is how it's been in most games so far. So
yeah, for sure. Complaining isn't bad. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll move on. Complaining isn't bad. Like, we shouldn't just be like, if Robin's like, hey, like, I have some complaints about it, you shouldn't be like, Robin, PMA, where's the good vibes? Don't be like saying any complaints or bad things about the game. People complain because they care. Like, quite frankly, I kind of miss Milk complaining about the game like that. I want Milk to come back and complain about TFT instead of him just
every game needs its delicious milk
wherever he is, and then he's not part of the community anymore. Right? We really need that kind of dynamic to keep us honest and make sure that it's not just an echo chamber.
Milk does a body good. That's what they used to say. Yeah. High five.
Oh, sorry. My webcam sucked.
This socially distant high five. Let's move on and check out some esports news. Thoughts on the competitive season thus far. I think we're making progress. We have more events this time around. I think in NA at least, I can't speak for the other regions, but for NA at least, things are proceeding pretty smoothly. I think in most cases, tournaments have run fairly well. And we're making progress. I mean, the championship, they just announced news about this. The prize pool's bigger. There's more players this time. NA gets 4 reps instead of 1. And we're not combined with Oceania, which is nice. So I think overall things are looking pretty good. But let's talk about the Fates top 4 from the qualifier here. Robin, you were in there. You made it to the next qualifier. What was kind of your experience playing in that tournament? Just as far as like proceeding through that format, how did it feel to you as a player?
In this specific qualifier?
Yeah, in that specific qualifier. But you can also talk about the set in general too, I suppose.
I don't know. I feel like I played pretty well, but I feel like, top 4 was really good. I feel like I played pretty bad the first game, and then after the first game I got 7th, and then I was like, okay, I need to I don't think I can get first anymore. If you get 7th, I don't think you can play for first. So you just play for 4th, play a little bit safer. I ended up getting 4th, which is really good. I played Elderwood 3 times, and I got 3rd, 2nd, 3rd. So I was like, oh, I should have played Elderwood every game. And then, I'm pretty happy with my placement because top 4 is all you need to move on to the next one. And I think GV8 played out of his mind.
He did.
Pretty happy with my outcome.
All right.
Were you surprised by anybody's performance or lack thereof, either on day 1 or on the final day?
I was surprised by I like Hobos, Bertosaurus, and Numano, because Bertosaurus, I like Hobos. They're not really playing the game. They're like 100 LP masters or something. So I was like, okay, these guys probably have a lot going on in their real life. Probably they probably don't have time to play, or they don't really care anymore. And then they ended up placing really, really well. So and also Numano, I knew he was a good player, but I didn't think he was able to compete with the top of the top, because he only played in GiantSlayer. What's it called?
Challenger Series?
Not Challenger Series.
Challenger Series.
Fight Night, yeah. So I was like, it was cool to see how he translated that into playing literally with the best players in NA and able to keep up. He got 2nd, so it proved that he was a good player. Lack thereof, probably Soju, Q, and Sox. Usually they're in the top 8, but they ended up not making it to top 8. So that was a kind of a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm. I suppose it's from a viewership side. It's kind of good when you see more people succeeding, at a broader level, that there's more pros coming up. And I think we talked about that a little bit on the broadcast too, Frodan, where it felt a little bit not a changing of the guard per se, but it felt like sort of a new generation of top players is sort of starting to emerge. And that's not to say that like people like Soju and Sox are like over the hill. They're definitely not. But it's cool that now there's sort of this other group of pros that's kind of coming up and can kind of hang with them as well.
Yeah, very much so. I think what's really sad, and I don't think this is announced in our notes actually, but you mentioned
Numano, yeah,
Japanese player that moved to North America and streams and competes. He actually has quit TFT after he did well. He got second in the qualifier and was like, I'm done playing TFT. And he posted a tweet longer explaining a little bit of it. But the TLDR is that he just felt like it was time for him to move on because maybe he played too much TFT and his like he really isn't like trying to be the best competitive player because he doesn't really believe you can be like the consistent best player, which, you know, we can sit here and debate about that kind of variance, but that was like really disappointing for me to see, just because I like thought that Numano played really well, and I feel like he was also minimizing how well he played, you know, because he's like, oh, if Keen or Soju or, you know, the other players had my roles, they would also do really well. It's like, come on, man, you like own up to it. You did really well, and you practiced really hard, and I mean, you are clearly a really good player. And so I just wanted to, you know, tell anybody out there who's like listening, like, you know, and they're like on the fence, like, you know, don't be afraid to just keep pursuing and like own up to the fact that you're good at this game. It's totally okay to say that you're sick at TFT, and just because there's a little bit of RNG doesn't mean you're not good or not skilled.
Yeah, exactly. Because the top players, you know, everybody gets roughly the same luck in TFT, right? It's the good players that know how to capitalize when they get those high rolls and mitigate when they get the low rolls, right? So, yeah. Let's talk a bit about the championship, the Teamfight Tactics Championship that's coming up. There is actually another qualifier this month, which you'll be hosting, I believe, Frodan. Oops, I don't know if I spoiled that or not, but it's but it is later this month. It got out of my mouth before I stopped it. But either way, it's going to be a good time. And then, of course, we have the regionals and the championships to look forward to after that. So it's the TFT Esports action is only heating up. Sorry, Risa.
Yeah, I mean, I got my contract today, so
there you go.
Technically, nothing finalized, but you know, I
okay.
should send it back. Thank you for the reminder, though. I should sign it. And
You're welcome.
what's actually going to be pretty cool is who might be working with me on that event, but we'll save that for the actual announcement. I want to ask Robin, who your webcam is like starting to blur you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the championship for the galaxies, do you like that kind of format, the where you you know, everyone gets to a point threshold and you have to get a first in order to win? Do you feel like that's like something that you're excited about if you get to participate in it?
No, I hate that. Well, it's mainly because I don't get first a lot. I get top 4 a lot. So like if that's the format, I'm never gonna win. So but I don't know. I feel like Sox had a very famous saying: first is high roll, second is skill. So I feel like in that format, you have to high roll at least once to win. Or like I think in the top of the top, if you get first, it's probably because you it's also skill, but you also for sure you have to high roll to get first. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of people when they play that, if they don't like high roll a game, they never get first, and then they just get like Sox literally almost didn't make it when he got like 2-3, 2-3, 2-2, 2-2, 2, and he couldn't get the last first, and he almost didn't make it. But he ended up making it because he had the second highest score. But personally, I don't really like that format. I like just like average score. The formats they've been having in the qualifiers, I think it's great.
Okay. I mean, they're probably going to keep experimenting with stuff. If there's one thing that we've seen about Riot that's consistent, is that they're willing to change things every single time. Right. From their invitationals to being like random bounty achievements to like this winning in. So I'm curious to see what they're going to try to do for the actual championship.
Now there is another tournament coming up that's not connected with the championship. It's the Lovers Duo tournament. This is going to be a fun one to watch over the Valentine's Day weekend. And so, who are you rooting for, Robinsongz, in this one? Who do you think is going to take it?
I think Robin. Soju was in it. Soju was in it with Sarah. But I don't think they're playing anymore, and they weren't going to win anyways, probably because Soju. Karoom and Candy might win, and I think Karoom and Candy have a good chance. But I also think Kiyun and Becca, if they're playing, I think they're playing. They also have a good chance, I think. Wait, I didn't look at the roster, so I don't know. There might be like, because the rule is you one person is challenger and the other person cannot be challenger.
Yeah.
What if they have a challenger GM? So I don't know. Yeah. But I think I'm rooting for Karum and Candy.
Okay, all I'm gonna say is that Kiyun should unmod Milk now from his channel on Valentine's Day, because I'm pretty sure if you see a lot of Milk's messages in that channel and think that he was going ham before, just wait till February 14th.
It's dangerous business, man.
I think that it's gonna be really fun, and I think that like 2v2 is like just in general, or 2v2v2v2 is like a format that like would be super successful in TFT if that became like an actual thing. So I love to see like more of this kind of dynamic, and it's also fun, right? Because we're all at home, still quarantined for most of the part. Pretty much. So Valentine's Day is usually pretty lonely, so this should be a fun little piece for us to watch.
Yep, exactly. More team tournaments are always fun, so it'll be cool to see. But I think it's time to move on to everybody's favorite segment. Maybe it's everybody's favorite segment. I think it's one of the favorite segments. It's the NA tier list. That's right. It's time. Robin is hyped, so let's get it on. Who are your top 10 players in the North American region of Teamfight Tactics?
Okay, I'm not gonna do like all time, because I think all time is kind of hard, because like a lot of people quit, and like, you know, how do you even rate? I'm gonna do like set 4.5 top 10 players in my opinion.
Current top 10.
Okay. Very
I'll do current top 10. I'll do current top 10.
All right.
So number 1, I think it's, who is it? I think number 1 is I'm gonna say New Bowel.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think New Bowel is like, he's never like below top 5. So like he's a very, very strong player. I think he was rank 1 for the longest time. I think he just lost it to DQA. But I think New Bowel is like really, really strong right now. Second, I would probably put GV8. His LP is a little bit low right now, but I think it's because he doesn't really care, because he's already in. Like, he doesn't need snapshots anymore. He has no motivation. You know, I think a lot of players who are already through qualifiers or snapshots, who are like a little bit low on LP, because they don't have motive. Like they don't. It's like they don't really need it. If they needed it, they would, after stream, they would play off stream, like try to get their LP back. You know. So GV, I think it's second. He also got first in the qualifiers, so I think that shows a lot that he's really good at the set. Number 3, I'm gonna say Ramblin'.
Oh, I thought
a lot of people were wrong.
All right.
This, if you watch this guy play, I've been playing with Ramblins ever since PvE came out, and he's like really, really, really good. He's rank 3 right now. He plays like everything, and like people are underrating him because like they just don't know his name, but he has like a super understand. Like I think he has like a big understanding of set 4.5, like every unit, every synergy, stuff like that. So I think Ramblin'. And then number 4, I'm gonna put myself.
All right. Top 4 master, number 4.
Number 4,
based on recent results, that makes sense.
My dual partner, I'm consistently top 5. I got 4th in the qualifiers. I've been grinding PvE with Ramblin' ever since. Number 5.
You're ranked number 4, by the way.
Oh, I'm ranked. Oh yeah. I feel like these people, like, we're always on the top 5. I think number 5. I'm gonna have to, Okay, I'm gonna put DQA. DQA is currently rank 1 right now, and he's rank 1 global. So that says something. If you watch DQA stream, he like never bought 4s ever, like rarely. So he has a very, very good understanding of set 4.5, in my opinion. All right, what's next? Next, I'm gonna say, what am I missing? I'm gonna say Solus. Okay. I think Solus is back to he's stuck in the trying to get 2 account to top 10, whatever. Like he's not, he's like, doesn't care. He doesn't care right now. You know, he goes through phases. Like when he cares, he'll get like top 5. But when he doesn't care or he's not having fun with the game, he'll just like not try, I guess. So he's like, I think it's just like a hard stuck like 900, 1,000 LP or something. Solus, and then I'd probably say, how many more spots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 more.
Spots. 4 more. Yep.
I think I'm gonna say Soju.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Over
All
Soju
right.
so far.
Like,
Nice.
Number 7 is Soju.
Nice.
But like, I think he's like second in qualifier points. So he also like doesn't really care that much about snapshots. Like if he did, he would actually like grind off stream, whatever, try hard. He's like more for fun right now. I think he's just like really not having fun with the game, so he's not like trying his best, or he's not willing to like adapt to it, you know. But I definitely think all these everyone above Soju is better than Soju right now. Oh no, I've got Spencer. Okay, I need to put Spencer above DQA if that's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can rearrange things. That's fine.
Yeah, you can.
I forgot about Spencer.
Well, we can agree that we're moving Solos and Soju down the list, right?
Yeah. I think Spencer is he's consistently top 5. I think he also made top 8 for the qualifiers. So I think he's really, really good. Okay. I think Kyun is on here.
Okay, number 9.
All right.
Kyun's probably below Soju. I thought Kyun was better than Soju, but then I watched his stream today. He fell below Soju, but I think it's because Soju backseated him, and then Soju backseated Kyun. Once Kyun fell below Soju, Soju's like, all right, I'm going to play Tarkov. So, yeah.
Sabotage.
Mission accomplished by Soju. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You got one more.
One more. Okay, I want to put Socks on here, but I think Socks, I think Socks is really good, but I think he's really unhappy with the patch right now. He's really like I don't think he likes the game right now, and so I don't think he really cares that much. So I'm gonna put Setsuko. Setsuko I think is probably above Soju. I put Setsuko above Soju. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
fair enough.
actually I'm down to put Kyun above Soju. I think Kyun just ran it out. So
yeah.
Okay.
Just like
Move-
put
move
another
all the way
return space. Can you put another return line after Kyun, just so that we show the gap?
or do like honorable mention. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Just show the
Yeah.
gap after between the top 9 and everybody else.
But yeah, I think like looking at this list, there's a lot of like new era players coming in, you know? Like
Yes.
New
Yeah,
Battle,
I
Setsuko, they're like extremely underrated. They're like
We gotta shrink the text to get Soju back on there.
The way it drags back on the screen is so good. I completely agree, by the way. I think specifically, like, the ones that you mentioned that people don't necessarily see all the time, like Spencer, New Bowel, Setsuko, and Ramblin' too. When you and Ramblin' teamed up in the 2v2 tournament, you guys crushed it. So I think that, like, really the people who are on top can't rest too easy, because these players who are hungry and coming at it, when they're like, especially players like you mentioned, even Solos, when he's motivated, they're really scary. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens for like the final bits of the set going to set 5.
Yeah, I think like the end of set 5 in NA is going to be kind of like in the old guard, hold off the assault from all these new players. It's going to be fun to watch. As a caster, I get to just enjoy all this, so it's great. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Well, that is
I like this list.
Yeah,
I think we fully agree with it.
I think this is a solid list. Yep. Can't think of anything I would change on it. I think it's perfect. Let's move on. We have our cursed image associated with our giveaway, of course. So this individual who submitted this cursed image, it is Lee GND Legend, maybe if he's, I don't know how you say it. Soju lost. It's a song's diff.
Oh, wow. After the tier list, this is perfectly timed.
Yeah, I know, right? Not pre-planned. This was all spontaneous.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
That's right. So grats, Lee Legend, Lee GND, however you want to say it. You win. You're the champion of the world. Good job. Let's go to our Q&A. We've got a question for Robin. Let's see, where is it? Oh, and our winner of a giveaway for that is Delicious Milk.
Whoa.
That's right.
It's a lot of font.
Valentine's Day is coming up. This is a lot to read. Wall of text here. Being in one of the most successful relationships in TFT, how does one acquire a girlfriend? This is from Milk. This is for you.
How does one acquire a girlfriend? I guess okay. I don't like. Okay, I met my girlfriend before COVID, so I guess it's kind of harder to like meet people nowadays. But you can meet them online. I would say I mean, they're gonna laugh at this advice and they're gonna be like, but like, be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. If they like you, they'll like you. You know, if they don't like you, you know, whatever, go next. It's fine. Don't be afraid of rejection. You know, rejection is part of life.
Right.
You know, like I would say, just try to be friends with them first. Don't go in like, oh, I'm gonna try to make this girl my girlfriend. You know, like try to be friends with her, like play some video games with her, and then, you know, maybe ask her if you want to watch some anime. You know, watch some anime, and then, you know, and then you go from there. Yeah.
So find someone who likes anime and don't give up.
Friend zone
Two
yourself
things.
first, and then try to move in. The Robin
Yes.
songs.
Yes.
There you go. That's right. Ooh woo. We have a question for Frodan actually here too, since you just proposed a successful proposal as well. Congratulations. Do you have any tips for Robin and Ivy? Oh wow, this is a very leading question.
Just 2 words. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
The
Okay.
classic. Wow. All right. Hey, as someone who has been in the married man meta for almost 5 years now, it's a good meta to join. So
It's true.
well done, Frodan. And
Also-
best of luck to
also
all the
get
rest of
rank
you
1.
out there.
I heard girls like guys who get rank 1.
That's right.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have to be in TFT. It can be anything. You can be in like local Mario Kart. I don't know.
So I guess Milk's not even here in the chat. I see everyone
No.
else here but Milk.
Yeah, where's
And he's
Milk?
usually here every episode, so I don't even know what's happening.
We've declared 2. I declared 2 giveaway winners, by the way. Delicious Milk also wins. Somebody let him know, because he's not here.
Yes. If you want to know the real answer, it's actually show up, which is what Milk hasn't done for his giveaway redemption.
That's true.
So-
He doesn't even get any of this great information.
Key to a successful relationship is actually show up every day.
He's just gonna go back reading all those self-help books. Like, he could have gotten the answers right here, but poor Milk. Somebody let him know. Go in his chat, like send him a DM. I don't know. Let him know.
Watch the VOD.
Yep, that's right. Watch the VOD. Link it to him. That brings us to the end of our soon-to-be VOD. Robinsongz, thanks for coming. It's been awesome having you guests on the show. It's been a fun show. Any final thoughts before we close this one out?
Thanks for having me. Congratulations, Frodan, on your proposal, and thank you, DoA. And you know, chat's asking, did you really put Solus above me for Soju? Yes, I think Solus way better than you, Soju.
Whew, there you go.
All right, yeah, that's it.
All right, that's it. Frodan, parting thoughts.
No flame, right? No flame. No, it's been really fun. I love having guests like Robin, who, you know, and honestly, I point at Robin a lot when people kind of talk about, you know, what is the TFT dream, and I actually point to this guy right now because I'm just like, he's just making it happen. So I'm really proud of you, Robin, and I always love seeing you compete and tuning into your stream and background whenever I'm working. Also, you know, the qualifiers. The next qualifier is coming up soon, just a couple of weeks. So, you know, DoA kind of spoiled it. I'll be working it, but you know, the people that I'll be working it with. I'm going to be really excited to see a new casting team kind of put together. So it should be pretty fun. I'll miss you, DoA, but you know, we'll reunite soon enough.
I'll be for the next one. Yep. All right. Well, thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to Robinsongz again for being a great guest. Frodan for being a great co-host as always. Thanks to all the fans out there in Twitch chat for spamming lots of stuff about Soju as usual. Thanks to GiantSlayer for putting this one on. A lot of people working hard behind the scenes to make this happen. And thanks to Riot and Mort, everybody else on the team for making TFT the game we love, the game we like to talk about. That's going to do it for Teamfight Talkshow tonight. We will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, enjoy the ladder, enjoy the new patch, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.